Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Danny Danae Show. I am Danielle Danae, aka Danny Danae, and I've got a lot to say. So let's talk about it. Do you support the police or not? Let's get into it. So, this has been a topic of conversation since 2020, right? In 2020, the whole unfortunate situation of George Floyd's death happened, and all these liberals, all these black people, all these poor people wanted to defund the police because of this one incident. And a lot of people were against the police, believed that all the police to be corrupt. It's a whole thing. It was a whole thing, and it still is. So I wanted to get into this topic, because I actually like the police. And I'll tell you why a little bit later. But first, I want you guys to read this article with me. I came across this article today and I feel like it's very informative. So I'm going to pull it up and you guys can read it with me. All right, here it is. It's titled Venezuelan Gangs Overrunning Colorado Apartment Buildings, Part of Organized Criminal Effort. Aurora Mayor. It says the Venezuelan gangs that have reportedly overrun several Colorado apartment buildings are part of an organized criminal effort, the city's mayor insisted on Thursday. Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman addressed the shocking footage that emerged this week showing a crew of heavily armed men storming an apartment complex in the Denver suburb that locals say has been taken over by gangs. This is an organized criminal effort, whether it's Tren de Aragua, pardon me, Trenderagua, if I'm saying it right, that remains to be seen, Kaufman said on Fox News in reference to the notorious South American prison gang. But it really doesn't matter. I mean, if they're Venezuelan migrants in there conducting crime in an organized way, they're a problem. And here are some pictures. This is the mayor, I'm assuming on the right here, on the left, actually, on my left. And then these are the apartment buildings these migrants are invading. Kaufman, a Republican, claimed at least 2 buildings have fallen to these Venezuelan gangs, in which the gang members pushed out the property management through intimidation. The footage captured earlier this month and obtained by KDVR shows 3 men with handguns and 1 with a rifle in the building shortly before a shootout erupted. Explore more. Another clip at a different time shows 2 men breaking into a unit with a tire iron inside the same complex called the Edge at Lowry, where migrants have moved in. The city leaders slammed the federal government for allowing migrants to flood into the country. Many of them have traveled to the sanctuary city of Denver, which is about 10 miles west of Aurora. Kaufman also questioned how migrants landed in Aurora after making clear that they weren't welcomed. I think we're the victim of a failed policy at the southern border. You got these massive waves of migrants coming across the border that many of them cross illegally, were arrested, asked for political asylum, were not adequately vetted, were released into the country, the mayor told Fox News. Now, this is all happening under Biden. These liberals, these leftists, these Democrats, they're so for President Biden. And it's just like, the whole this is crazy. Migrants knocking on these hardworking individuals' doors in their apartment buildings, demanding they come out of them. That's freaking insane, with rifles. And the police are doing nothing about it. The police know nothing about it. It's okay for them to do this. This is what you guys want? This is literally insane. Let's keep reading. The city of Aurora, we did everything we could to, quite frankly, keep them out of the city because it's not our problem. This is a federal problem. Federal officials might have worked with nonprofits to place migrants in the building, Kaufman speculated, attracting a criminal element to the apartment complex meant to exploit the migrants. Despite the assertions from Kaufman and Aurora Aurora, Councilwoman Danielle, our name's Danielle too, Jurinsky, Colorado Governor Jared Polis' office dismissed that the buildings had been seized by gang members. A spokesperson told the Post police intelligence regarding this purported invasion is largely made up. The governor's aide also noted it's illegal to take over buildings in Colorado. Now, like I said, this is crazy. This is crazy that this is allowing, this is happening. People that aren't supposed to be in this country came here and didn't pay their dues are going up to apartment buildings and banging on people's doors and just like, hey, you know, I deserve to be here. I your country allowed me in with such ease. They mentioned at the border, it doesn't have the proper reinforcements there to, you know, not allow these migrants to get in. They're like, hey, I got in easy. I'm just going to take your apartment because it's easy. And you're going to give it to me because I have a gun and I'm not afraid to use it. And I'm not going to get into trouble for using it. Is this what y'all want when y'all say defund the police? It's like, it's crazy how we put out these things and we're like, oh, yeah, defund the police. But when stuff like this happens to you, you're like, oh, where are they? Imagine being in your apartment building with your son, with your daughter, young kids, and you have to leave just because some illegal immigrants came up to you and was like, leave. You would want to call the police then. You would want the police to be funded then. Because who else are you going to call? Who else are you going to call to come and get these migrants away from your house? Nobody. You'd be like, oh, I'll rely on my husband. I'll rely on some other man. What are they going to do when these migrants have guns? And even if your man or someone else has a gun, it's like they can't be held to any accountability at all. Like the police have the authority to do. They can arrest them. They can use their guns legally. Like this is freaking insane. I'm gonna show you also a video of these migrants coming into an apartment building, coming into these apartment buildings. Yeah, here it is. Those guns, man. Ugh, I just feel so bad for the families.
Nigga, the Venezuelans is taking over. They just jacked them? Oh, me. These niggas is out here tripping.
Crazy.
Bro, damn, they done made a mess and shit.
If you guys are listening, there's black people walking around and they're seeing all this trash.
Y'all are on bullshit out here.
I'm thinking it's trash that they threw out from the apartments and stuff that they invaded.
Oh, shit. What the Yeah, they're tripping.
Very much tripping.
Nigga, they cracking off in the air and everything. They driving everywhere. Over the... Nigga, we almost just got hit. Bro, these niggas is on bullshit.
I think it's crazy that they're laughing because it's no laughing matter. It's no laughing matter. It's ridiculous. It's only a laughing matter when it's not you. But it shouldn't even be funny when it's not you because these are people's real lives. These are people's real problems, and it's so unfortunate. It's like people think defunding the police is gonna somehow make black people be all of a sudden be murdered less. And the whole 2020 George Floyd, it irritated me so much, the whole Black Lives Matter movement, because it was just like George Floyd pardon me, let me use my words wisely here. His death wasn't what police are out here doing. It wasn't, police are not out here murdering black men. They're not. Just because they want to murder black men. There are more black on black men that are not police killing each other more than there are black cops killing black men. They just are. Let's be realistic here, okay? And whether you like it or not, George Floyd was an absolute criminal, and he was on fentanyl, and that affects your health in a drastic way. Yes, he could not, he said he could not breathe, and yes, the police could have been a little more, gentle with his knee placement. But hindsight is always 2020. And they didn't know what he was on. They were just doing their job. We got to get out of our feelings and stop making everything about race, and stop glorifying or stop glorifying problems that are not as big, are not happening as much as we want to believe they are. We need our police system, whether you like it or not. We can't pick and choose when we want to have police also. Like we don't want them, stopping us when we're speeding, but we want them when it comes to, other races taking, our jobs. No, we need the police always. And the police aren't as bad as people are saying. Like I said, it's the small minority that's being highlighted in these media spaces. Yes, obviously there's corrupt cops. Yes, there's power hungry cops that, never had power before, and when they become cops, they become big headed and power hungry, like I said. But those aren't these cops that are being shown in these media spaces. Those cops are condemned immediately and fired immediately. This happening right now is just insane. And this right now should tell you that, we have, if anything's corrupt, it's our government, not our policemen. Yes, our policemen work for the government, but it's the higher ups that are running it. Those are the people we need to be holding accountable to the craziness that's happening in our country, in Aurora. But to be mad at cops and not be mad at the government is freaking insane. Because the police are funded and ran by the government. I support the police, like I said earlier, and I'll tell you why. Who am I going to call in a time of need? When someone is breaking into my house, like these migrants were doing, I'm going to need to call the police. I don't know about you, but I'm calling the police. Who's going to protect me in a time of need? Not the guy, not the homie down the street. Not my best friend. The police is. We should have the utmost respect for the people who are willing to lay their lives down to protect us. But instead, we're over here saying F the police. And it's like, what? Are you freaking kidding me? You're talking about the people that make sure, your kids are safe in their neighborhoods, going to school. You're talking about the people who you call in a time of need when you feel threatened. You're talking about the people who are just out in your communities, making it a better place. Arresting the crazy crackheads, doing the things necessary in order to make the world a better place. I've had nothing but good experiences with cops. And I'll tell you guys a story. Back in Virginia, I was arrested for doing something stupid. We're not going to get into that, but I was doing something stupid. And there were two cops. There was a white lady and a Latino man that came to my house to arrest me. And I remember they asked me to get in the car. I got in the car. They asked me politely. I remember sitting in the car and being like, y'all are not going to handcuff me? Because my young and stupid self wanted the full experience. This was a joke to me. Young and dumb, stupid. And they were like, we don't think that's actually necessary, they said. And I was like, okay. And then I was sitting in the cell until they could place me somewhere else. And me and the Latino cop were talking. The woman went and did some paperwork or something. She left us for a little bit. And I could tell he was exhausted, this man. And he was still up here talking to me until he did it. And then I could see him falling asleep, but he was so kind. In the conversation, he was nothing but kind. Not super rough with me when, holding my arm, following, placing me in the cell. Super nice. Super, super nice. And when he was falling asleep, it's crazy. Like, my bad self was thinking, I was like, oh, could I run away out of here? could I get him in trouble? But it's like I didn't want to because he was so nice. And I didn't because he was so nice. And when I was able to come back home and before I went home and I went to court, and these two cops were actually in there to vouch for me and how I acted. The judge wanted to know how I acted when I was arrested, and they said I was great. They were there to vouch for me, and they were great. I've had nothing but the best experience with cops. One of my dad's close friends is a cop. And he's the nicest man I ever met. I remember when I used to walk home from school, cops will offer me a ride home. And these were white cops. The friend of my dad is black, mind you. But everybody else, white or Latino. And the sweetest people I've ever met. I remember I took a field trip. We took a field trip to a jail to my government class to speak to the less fortunate or something like that. And we also went into a actual courtroom and experienced what court was like. I remember the police officers, just great, offered us donuts. We ate with them, we sat with them. And yeah, I've had the best experience with cops. So it just caused me to wonder, like, people who have quote unquote bad experiences with cops, are they just bad individuals trying to make something a bad experience because they are just bad people? These people you see recording themselves talking to cops and calling them racist and, just all these ugly names. It's like you're looking at them, I'm like, oh, they're not even calling you anything. And they're looking like the crazy ones, the ones recording. But since black people believe everything they see and, just hate cops, they're going to believe the person telling them cops are bad just because everybody else says cops are bad. So it is what it is. So the cop must be bad, even though we're not looking at him saying anything crazy. Even though she's actually the one calling him at his name and being disrespectful. We go with the F all cops mentality. It's insane. It's got to stop, man. These people are our protectors. They're the closest things we have to superheroes. And we're disrespectful to them. We're wishing them to go away. I feel bad for cops. It's such a bad time to be a cop right now because people literally are screaming from their lungs that they hate them, spitting on them, just doing wild shit. Excuse my French. We need our cops. We need our protectors. They're what matter. They're what truly matters in our world. And this whole migrants coming to our U.S. because, the type of funding isn't taken care of to have a strong border, police set up at the border to make sure these migrants don't come in. It's not the police fault. It's the people who's funding the police's fault. It's our faults and the government's faults. We got to sit back and get out of our feelings and look at what's actually happening in the world and condemn this bad behavior. Condemn anybody who hate cops, because cops shouldn't be hated. They should be admired. They should be uplifted. They should be loved on as much as possible, because, like I said, they put themselves in uncomfortable situations in order to make our situations the best, better. Not all cops are out to get all black people. I hate to break it to you, black people, but I'm literally proof. I'm literally proof. It's so funny when I tell my story about my story when I got arrested and how I actually had really great cops that that arrested me. So one person was like, "Oh, that's pretty privileged. You got away with this because it's pretty." Let me tell you something. A white person that hates black people, it doesn't matter how pretty that black person is. Their hate for black people will override that every time. They will not just, their hate won't just magically go away if they really hated black people. And it wouldn't just go away because that black person is attractive. Okay. That's not how that works. Pretty privilege isn't that strong. It doesn't override hate. Hate is a strong emotion, man. I don't think nothing can beat that. Only love can beat that. Okay? So yeah, maybe, just maybe, the cops were great people because I saw them as great people because they're actually great people. They actually do their jobs well. And for the ones that are a little aggressive, use excessive force, maybe it was, maybe sit back and question, maybe it was needed. Cops have the right to use excessive force when they feel like someone is a threat. It's so funny how so many people are anti-violence, but they're violent with their words. It's crazy how much of what's happening is people project exactly what they are onto someone else. It happens all the time with people calling people anti-Semitic, with people calling people racist. They're actually the ones that are anti-Semitic and racist and violent in this case. You gotta stop, man. You gotta stop the hypocrisy, and you gotta love on the police, because no one's gonna save you but them. No one's gonna be there in time of need but them. So pay them, appreciate them, respect them. And that's all I have to say about that, guys. All right. That's the end of this video. I love you guys so much. Please like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and always comment. I love to hear your thoughts. All right, guys. And I will see you guys on what day? The next day, whenever that is. All right. All right. I'll see you guys then. I love you. Bye.